Welcome to the Community Difference Frisco, powered by the Difference Media LLC, and hosted by Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus, and also sponsored by Jax Kreider with PBJ Mortgage,
Lauren Gill with My Live, Love, Travel,
Debbie Watson with Abracadootle, Bethany Rowan with the B. Rowan Realty Group, Liliana Randa with Window Hero, Eric Buchanan with Goosehead Insurance, Meena Singh, college counselor and prep coach, and by Sean Neidig with Chicago Title. The Community Difference Frisco was created to serve as a platform for local leaders and business professionals to showcase their expertise, values, and commitment to their community. Overall, the podcast aims to create a stronger sense of community in North Texas by highlighting the often overlooked or unnoticed good work being done by local leaders, businesses, and professionals. So sit back and relax as our host, co-host, and their guests share inspirational stories, experiences, thoughts, and insights about being a professional, along with the opportunities for our businesses to serve our communities in very special ways. Because the Community Difference Frisco starts now.
Well, good afternoon, Frisco, and welcome to the Community Difference Frisco. We're a podcast firmly rooted at the intersection of business development and community involvement. I'm your host, Brian Poduska. I am the owner of Real Property Management Focus, where we focus on your real estate investments right here in the DFW area. And I am located right here in the frigid Frisco community. Have an office here in Frisco and live in Frisco. Been a resident here for 13 years and counting. It is the coldest day of the year so far. So we're trying to stay warm, but welcome to episode 59. If you haven't seen us before, we have been going for over a year. We are a community-based podcast, and we put the spotlight on 5 different types of folks here in the community. They're all community leaders, but they fall in one of 5 different types of categories, and that would be business owners, entrepreneurs, community leaders, meaning board members, politicians, things like that, Frisco ISD leadership, nonprofit leadership, and of course, we are Sports City USA, so our 5th one is sports leadership. We also have rotating co-hosts every week, and they bring on guests. So those guests fit in one of those 5 different categories. And we also discuss a business topic of the month. The business topic of February is building the right relationships to build your business, leveraging strategic networking to unlock untapped opportunities. So we will be diving into that in one of our later segments. But first and foremost, as I mentioned earlier, we do have rotating co-hosts. So let's go ahead and bring on our first one, Lendon, which is Eric Buchanan today. There he is. What's up, my man?
Hey, Brian. It's good to be on the Community Difference Arctic Circle show once again. So
that's right.
Frisco, right?
We're pioneering new temperatures here in Frisco. I feel like I'm back in Chicago, which is where I'm from. But you know what? Hey, I'm okay with cold weather. You know, we got to remember this when it's 110 degrees for 10 weeks straight in the summer.
Yeah, I'd like to forget it and just be 20 degrees warmer, but that's okay. It is what it is. It reminds us of our Illinois days for sure. But no, excited to be on today. Glad to be indoors, and I think it's a great day for a podcast. How's that?
I love that. Good setup. Well, good to see you again. Do me a favor, reintroduce yourself to the audience if you wouldn't mind, and then I'd like you to introduce your guest who I'm excited to meet today.
Absolutely. So Eric Buchanan with the Buchanan Agency, part of Goosehead Insurance, insurance brokerage, all your personal line needs. Obviously, insurance prices are crazy. So give me a call and see if I can help you, but it's pretty straightforward like that. So thank you.
All right, go ahead and introduce Ms. Carmichael.
Yeah, so I'm excited today. Jennifer Carmichael. Let's see if Linda can bring her in here. She is, we were just talking backstage. I probably know Jennifer for 10 years. Really a sharp person. I think you'll see that on the show. Really a great background that I think fits with the topic. 20 years of working with companies such as Capital One and Ericsson here in the Plano, Frisco area, working in human capital management, development, career development, and probably 50 other things, Jen, right, that you've done. And then she's also, for the last 10 years, had her own coaching and consulting firm where she's helped people with career changes, career advice, just strategic thinking. And she's getting ready to join us as aspiring entrepreneurs again with a new business that called My Front Porch. And I will let her talk about that later on. I think it's going to be a perfect fit for Frisco. And I believe it's launching fall of 2025. And I think maybe, Brian, and Jen and I have talked, I think she is uniquely qualified to talk about these subjects, both from a corporate perspective, running a business, and now walking into a new business and kind of starting something again. And when I think about our folks in Frisco, whether they own a business or they're working for a corporate company and thinking about starting one, those topics we're going to discuss today, they work in all three tranches. And I think she has wisdom and insight in each of the three. And so I'll be excited to kind of have her share some wisdom later on. So Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you, Jen. Great to hear your background too, because ours are very similar in that, I was corporate America for 20 years, 17 of which was at a big company, PepsiCo. So we share those backgrounds, and I'm excited to dive into the business topic to get your perspective as well. But first and foremost, I have to ask you a question. You are a Frisco resident. What is your favorite part about living in Frisco?
Well, I love Frisco so much. I've chosen to be a resident of it for the past 17 years.
Right.
And when the market was hot, I made a decision not to move, but to actually stay here. And so when I think about what are the things that really excite me about Frisco, or, why did I move here and why do I continue to stay? I really break it out in probably 5 different buckets. One, it's a safe city, one of the safest cities in America. That's really important to me and my family. And I'm incredibly grateful for our Frisco Police Department and first responders who take care of our citizens every day and put their lives on the line. Secondly, I think there is I think we're really culturally rich. And what I mean about that, we have a diversity of residents, a very family-forward culture, families that are focused on academia and having their kids thrive and be successful, great sports environment for kids to be involved in sports. So I really like the culture and the family forward. I think from a business friendly standpoint, there's an incredible amount of opportunity here. I think Frisco's done a really nice job of recruiting and attracting employers to come in who offer a diversity of different companies that are creating lots of different job opportunities, as well as a consumer, just a lot of opportunity for you to stay in Frisco and not have to leave because there's so much here in our own city. Really sound foundation. I know some of the construction is underway, but and some of that can be a little bit painful. But really at the end of the day, I think when I came here, we had one high school, Frisco High School, and now I think I saw was 16, maybe more under construction to be able to scale to support. But exceptional schools, great hospitals, banks, restaurants, city services infrastructure, and it makes the city work. And then lastly, I'd say that my fifth bucket is just full, tons of attractions. And the city's done a great job of bringing people, the Star, the PGA, various sports teams and complexes. I'm really excited about Universal Studios. I know it'll contribute to more traffic. But then at the end of the day, what I'm excited about is it also brings a big tax base in, and you don't need to leave the city to go have fun. So lots of good things our way, and I'm thrilled to be a resident of Frisco. Proud to be here.
Love it. Well, you may be a future candidate for a PR position with the city of Frisco because you nailed all the hot spots. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. We'll get into your journey in Frisco here and your personal spotlight a little bit later in the show. But awesome answer to that question. All right, what we got to do right now? Quickly reintroduce our co-host into the show, and then we're gonna break real quick, and we'll bring in Coach Harden. So let's do that real quick. Lennon, if you don't mind, ladies first, let's bring in Lily. Lily, really quickly, just an administrative note, I guess, is that we've got Lily and Sean riding shotgun, who have been on the show as guests before, and they will be co-hosting going forward starting in March. So you guys are kind of riding along shotgun, having some fun today. So just reintroduce yourself to the audience really quick, 15 seconds or less, if you don't mind.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lily with a Window Hero Frisco, where we make dirty windows, clogged gutters, and grimy driveways a thing of the past. So I'm all about turning curb appeal up a notch and building my business that shines. I'm excited to be here and talk shop with all of you today.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on today. And Lyndon, let's bring in Sean and say hello. There he is. What's up, my man?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Awesome. Really quick, 15 seconds. Reintroduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll jump to a commercial break really quick.
Hey, guys. Sean Neidig with Chicago Title Frisco. I'm a sales executive with Chicago Title, and my job really summed up in really a couple words is powerful business development and relationship creation. Like, that's all it is. Transactions happen all day, but it's who you work with and who you like, and that's what matters most. So that's what I do. Connections over connections.
Love it. Awesome. Well, I look forward to you guys joining the stable of co-hosts that we have. Frisco's, I'm going to say it selfishly, the best community difference that we have in the community difference shows. So welcome officially to the group. So with that, Lyndon, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll open up the What's Up Frisco segment with Coach Harden on the back end.
The Community Difference Frisco is made possible by Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus, Bethany Ralwin with the Beer Ralwin Realty Group, Liliana Aranda with Window Hero, Jax Kreider with PBJ Mortgage, Debbie Watson with Abracadoodle, Eric Buchanan with Goosehead Insurance, Meena Singh, College Counselor and Prep Coach, Sean Neidig with Chicago Title, and by Lauren Gill with My Live Love Travel. The Community Difference Frisco. Together, we can make the difference. And now, back to the show.
Are you ready?
Because it's time for
What's Up Frisco?
All right, welcome back. And, as I mentioned earlier, this is the coldest day of the year so far. We're in the teens, wind chills sub-zero last night. So what better time to bring on a baseball coach, right? It is baseball season. I can feel it in the air. So Coach Harden, welcome to the show, my man. The head varsity baseball coach at Independence High School. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. We're inside today, so we got a little bit of benefit from what Frisco ISD has to offer with a little indoor practice today. So we can still keep working along. Really start the season off with the games on Saturday. So we're getting rolling.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us today. I'm going to let Eric, since you're his guest, I'm going to let him ask you a few questions, but excited to it is baseball season. I'm a baseball fan, so I'm excited. But Eric, take it away, my man.
You bet. Thanks, Brian. Coach, glad you're on. Not only are you getting ready for the Independence season, I'm sure you're getting ready for your boys' Little League seasons. And, let those little ones practice outside. They're tough. They can handle it. But I think just to start, and I know we're up against a 250 bell at Independence High School. As Coach says, if the interview goes too long, we'll all lose our eardrums. So we will be done at 2:49. But just as a coach, whether it's your kids in FBSA or the high school kids that you have, just talk about really quick, like what this time of year means to you, regardless of the weather, at the start of a season. You've been through this before, but like, what does that mean to you as a coach and a teacher?
Everything has its new challenges. Everything has a new team. It's just trying to build unity together. It's trying to really keep a lot of the same goals from year to year and still having the same standards. But it's just a different way to execute each one of those. And you have such of ebbed flows of personalities to physical contributions to a team to where everybody has an important role. It's how do you mix it? How do you benefit the overall goal with having high standards and those same goals from year to year and out? We want to make playoffs. Absolutely. We want to be able to accomplish these things. but we're going to do it with these standards, and we're going to do it by building it together.
That's great. No, that's good. Talk a little bit about, I have 2 sons that play at Lone Star, and I talked to other parents. And I was looking over your schedule for the season, and I think you guys you have a doubleheader Saturday against Aubrey, right?
Yes, sir.
What time does that start, by the way? A little plug.
We have a 12 and we have a 2:30 here at Independence.
Okay, great. Talk about, for Frisco residents whose kids, are maybe playing baseball or softball, what's your approach and maybe also FISD's approach to building a schedule? Because I see a lot of games against surrounding towns and teams. And then obviously there's a lot of just inside Frisco matchups against other FISD schools. Like, walk us through as a family in Frisco, how you build that schedule and what the approach is.
I build mine pretty uniquely. I have a lot of multi-sport athletes at Independence. And so I want to try to play other schools that have multi-sport athletes and try to get a comparison and a foundation of that. And every single school within Frisco ISD is a little bit different on how many players that they have that are playing multiple sports. And so I look with a little bit of flexibility within that to be able to help and to build our kids' confidence. More or less, I want to play people I know, people I trust that is within the network of baseball in the surrounding areas that have high-quality character programs that teach good baseball. I want my kids to be around that and see that in different ways. Matching up from one side of Frisco to the other, we're in different districts, and sometimes we match up well and we play each other, and sometimes we don't as much. But within the Frisco ISD coaching baseball side of things, like, we respect each other so much for what each of them has done at each location. Frisco ISD has done a great job building baseball within Frisco. And so having the opportunities, this is my 10th year in Frisco. I opened Independence. I was at Centennial for 5 years and able to come back. And so I have that camaraderie of knowing everybody within the district, matching up. And then just through tournaments, I want to get into tournaments that I'm going to slowly build my competition up. And we end that with the Tournament of Champions that Frisco ISD holds and helps use as Rough Rider Stadium as well. And so being able to lead into that second week of March, which is our first week of district.
Okay. So I take your biggest rival is Centennial, since you spent some time there. Is that correct or no?
You love to play the best against the people you love the most.
There you go. That makes total sense. So, and I know we got a couple minutes, and I'll make it a 2-part question. Part 1, I think it was in 2023, you had a kid named Wyatt Sanford that graduated, was a number 2, was picked in the 2nd round with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Obviously, that's got to be a thrill for you to be part of that. Maybe touch on that, and then kind of flip to the other side of that with, if you're a parent in Frisco and you got a kid playing softball or baseball, and they might be 9, 10, 11, 12, and they see somebody like Wyatt, and everybody generally aspires to that, what advice would you give for the typical Frisco parent who's got a son in youth sports to balance those two things? Like, yes, Wyatt's at this level, that's phenomenal, but what advice would you be given to a Frisco parent?
Absolutely. Wyatt is something special. Always was. Hardworking, unique kid, loved the game and was around it from childhood up. With his experience as a first-year head coach, basically that brought a whole lot of eyes watching, and I had to have a plan and I had to be prepared. Anywhere from, we had 2 days of practice that didn't have a major league scout at it last year, which was crazy. Sometimes up to 35 guys showing up on a game day. I just had to have a plan prepared. Now the kids, that's extra eyes on them and there's motivation. And so they're locked in a whole lot more than at different times when they're not there. And so that was a unique experience for our kids where I'm getting a look. They might not be here for me, but I'm getting a look. And I think that's in kids in general. You never know who's watching. You never or parents, you never who's watching you, because whenever your kid is good enough, they're there because they know your kid can play, but yet they want to know the product of the environment that they're willing to counterpart with. And so that's huge too. Baseball is that lifestyle for me, and it's building future of men. It's taking the little things and being able to build with that. And so with parents, if they're good enough, everybody's going to talk about them. And if they're good enough, they're going to find you. We didn't win a district baseball game last year, and I had a number 2 round pick. It said a lot about him and his loyalty to stay with the first-year head coach last year, with a seasoned coach leaving the district. And so that was huge for me to have that experience. But ultimately, he wanted to show loyalty, and that was seen above and beyond when he had options to go, but he didn't. He chose to stay. And so I think if you choose anything long enough and you commit to it, that loyalty is going to show up, and people love it.
And I think for parents, just be patient. Don't get in a hurry for the next level, right? It'll come. Whatever that is.
Let the kid drive. Let the kid drive. You're there to support. You're there to cheer, celebrate the successes, because they're on the island when they mess up and they feel it, and nobody has to point it out because they feel it.
All right. Well, hey, great wisdom. I want to beat that 2:50 bell and get you on your way to baseball practice. So, Coach, thanks for taking a little time to be on the Community Difference Frisco.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Appreciate you, Coach. Well, that was cool. Man, it's hard to believe baseball's already here, but I'm fired up. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, appreciate Coach Harden joining us today. Look forward to the baseball season. Eric, I know you have a special passion for baseball, being the head of the FBSA. So appreciate you bringing in some youth baseball into the conversation. Really quickly, we only have a few minutes, so I want to go through a few things in the what's coming up in Frisco. So Lennon, go ahead and just throw up the splash screens, and I'll talk to them as briefly as possible. First up is tonight. So I'm going to try to go in chronological order here. Sangeeta Datta, who is running for place 4 city council. We had a live look-in with her application a few weeks ago with Michelle Burleson, who is hosting this event. It is tonight, 6:30 to 8 p.m. at 13542 Clifton Drive in Frisco. That is Michelle Burleson's home, so please be kind when you're there. But I bring this up because I want to make sure that people are educated when they go to the polls as much as possible on May 3rd. That is the vote for all the city positions that are open. All the presidential elections get all the headlines, but really where the rubber meets the road is the local elections. All the water that we receive, all the roads we drive on, they're all, managed by the local government. So please, if you can come out tonight, meet Sangeeta, understand her platform, and do that with all the candidates. I highly encourage it. All right, next up, Lennon. All right, we've mentioned this before, but it's a Citizens Police Academy. Jen mentioned it earlier. Frisco has the best police department in the country. If you want to get behind the wheel and get, behind the scenes with the police department, this is your jam right here. Citizens Police Academy, scan that QR code. You can see all the different topics that are covered. It starts March 20th. Spots, once they fill up, it will close down. So if you're interested, scan that QR code. All right, next up, Lennon. All right, so we've got the Safety Town open house. I wanted to mention this. There's 3 of them per year. The first one is March 1st. You can see it's 9:30 to noon. It is at Safety Town right there, just east of downtown Frisco. Bring the kids out. They do have snacks and Jeep rides and bike rides. It is a blast. The weather should be better by March 1st, so come on out to Safety Town open house. Next up. All right, I mentioned this last week, Adopt a Park. That's a little tiny to read, but go out on the Frisco website, check it out. You can. This is a great team building activity. So if you're a business or a business owner, you can bring your team out, adopt a park. It doesn't cost anything. It just requires a time commitment for a full year to help keep the Frisco parks beautiful. All right, next up. All right, Business Incubator. So we've talked about this in the past shows. This is essentially Shark Tank for high school students. It's unique to the Frisco ISD. Miss Ashley Sign, you can see her name and contact information on the splash screen. they're looking for volunteers. So if you're a local business owner, entrepreneur, or in business and have time to volunteer, they're looking for mentors, coaches, and potentially panel members. Next up. All right, really quick, the Pro FTB. So this is pro football players retired who are competing in a golf tournament up at PGA Frisco. You can see March 21st to the 23rd are the dates there. It actually starts before then. So if you want to go out and meet some Hall of Fame football players, my boy Brian Urlacher is on the screen right there. He's one of them. Come on out to PGA Frisco. It's an opportunity to meet him and to look at the course and the beautiful grounds that the PGA Frisco has. All right, next up. Frisco's got talent, so I'm going to go through a few things going on at NAC Theater really quick. Tonight, February 20th, Frisco's Got Talent, first night of auditions. This is actually the first round. Auditions have already happened, so first round and second round are today and tomorrow. Come on out, and the top 5 in each of those days advance to the finals, which you can see there Friday, March 7th. Doors open tonight at 6:30 and Friday night 6:30. Show starts at 7 p.m. And next at the NAC Theater, March 14th, Justin Till, rescheduled from January, again because of weather. It seems to be a recurring theme here, but an act straight from Nashville into the cozy theater of NAC Theater, 200-seat theater right there in downtown Frisco, just east of the train tracks. Coming out and see Justin Till. And then we got Tony Deo. He tours the U.S., so he's kind of a big name, right? He's a comedian. He's coming to the NAC Theater. I don't see the date there, but I think it's in April. I want to say mid-April. Can't see the date. There it is, April 26th. Perfect. All right, next up. And the BDA. So, Lennon, I know we're short on time, but since we've got multiple communities, why don't you jump in here and let's talk about the BDA real quick.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. BDA stands for Business Development Alliance. It's something we created and we wanted to create since day one. But it's different than your regular networking. It is where you go not only to network, but to learn about the skills that we all sometimes struggle with. So we all have a skill of whatever service or product we provide, but a lot of times the accounting, the sales, the marketing, the branding, things like that, we struggle with. And so we have a speaker that will speak on different topics. Sometimes it's just going to be a city leader that talks about what's going on in the community that we as business owners need to be involved in to make sure we have a good and vibrant business environment, which is also what's going to be happening next Thursday at our Lunch and Learn and BDA in Plano. So Shelby Williams, the city councilman, will be speaking about the temperature of the business within the Plano community. So even if you're not doing business in Plano, you can come out and kind of get a little bit of idea of what we need to know. Our last BDA in Rockwall, we had the mayor of Heath come out and speak to us, and everyone there really learned a lot about how to get involved with the EDC and different organizations within our community that can help us grow our business. So we had about 70 people, I think, at the last Plano one. And then I think we had about 40 at the last one in Rockwall. So if you're looking for a place, it doesn't cost anything. It's just free to network, free to hang out, free to learn. Come on out and join us there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Lennon. It was an awesome event, the last one in Plano. I spoke on the panel, and we had great audience interaction. So I was just really pleasantly surprised with. I learned stuff at it too. So come on out. Definitely check those out across all the different communities. All right. Well, that'll wrap up the What's Up segment. I know we're a few minutes behind, but we'll get back on track. Coming up after this commercial break, we're going to dive into the business topic of the month, which I don't want to butcher it, so I'm going to read it here. Building the right relationships to build your business. Networking to unlock untapped opportunities. And it sounds like somebody's having a fire alarm. So that's
I think Coach Harden left his laptop on, I think.
Okay, that's our bell going. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to talk about that after the commercial. And one thing I didn't mention before we break, this is a live show. So what you see is what you're going to get. Sometimes we have fire alarms. Sometimes we have bells at school. So what you see is what you get, and we're just having fun. All right, take us to commercial. We'll be right back.
The Community Difference would like to thank each of the following partners for their continued support. At Fireboss Realty, We believe life is about relationships, and everything else is just details. Whether you're buying or selling, Scott and Amy Johnson are here to understand your family's unique needs and deliver expert guidance on the North Texas real estate market. With a reputation for integrity and personalized service, Fireboss Realty makes your home journey stress-free and successful. Ready to make your move? Visit firebossrealty.com and let's ignite your real estate dreams.
Everyone deserves access to affordable health insurance, but with traditional insurance, costs can be high and getting coverage can be complicated. JP Direct Health is a simpler, more affordable way to get the health coverage you need. With plans for individuals, families, and small businesses, you can save money on monthly premiums without the need for physicals. At jpdirecthealth.com, we specialize in customizing coverage to fit almost every budget with affordable PPO plans and many other benefits. With over 100 5-star Google reviews, JP Direct Health is a trusted resource making health insurance affordable and accessible for everyone year-round. Affordable health insurance solutions are a proactive protection, not a reactive solution. Visit jpdirecthealth.com today and see how much you can save.
I'm always here to help. Thank you.
Total Care Emergency Room now has 9 locations in the DFW Metroplex. With no appointment needed, our incredible staff will get you checked in with no wait times. Our 5-star facility is open and fully staffed 24/7. We offer extensive treatment options for patients of all ages, providing on-site labs and imaging equipment, including CT, X-ray, and ultrasound, allowing us to provide fast, convenient care for our community. Total Care ER is your neighborhood emergency room. TotalCare.us.
Unwanted pests in your home can be stressful. From creepy crawlies to critters under the floorboards, they disrupt your peace of mind. But don't worry. All Pest Solutions is here to help. We offer a comprehensive range of safe and effective pest control solutions. We target all types of pests, big or small, including insects, rodents, and wildlife. All Pest Solutions, your local experts for a pest-free home. Breathe easy and enjoy your life again. Call today for a free quote. 972-442-1169 or email us at customerservice@allpestsolutions.com.
To belong is one of our most basic human needs. Best Buddies International is the world's largest organization dedicated to ending the social isolation of 200 million individuals who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. We focus on meaningful one-to-one friendships, integrated employment, leadership development, and inclusive living. You have the power to make an impact, create change, and champion our mission of inclusion today.
Now back to the show.
All right, welcome back. All right, so I see we did lose Lily. So in the commercial break, that noise that we heard was indeed a fire alarm at Lily's residence. So she needs to leave. And if she's able to join us after the all clear, she'll come back in. But it seems to be, I've actually, since I've been here, I haven't really talked much about my property management business, but we have a couple instances of frozen pipes that we're dealing with live on the show as well. So if I ever seem distracted more so today than usual, it's because I'm trying to, juggle a few different things with potential emergencies. So you know what? This weather, we don't do well with weather here in Texas, with cold weather here in Texas. But with that, guys, let's talk business topic of the month. And again, reading it again, it's building the right relationships to build your business, leveraging strategic networking to unlock untapped opportunities. So I love this one because there's obviously multiple parts to it. The key one that jumps out at me is at the end there, the untapped opportunities, right? As a business owner, whether you're in your infancy stages or you're mature, there's always some sort of untapped area that we can go to find new business. So I'm just going to kind of kick off the Q&A. And Jen, I love your background. So I'm curious to hear, your perspective given some, a very extensive corporate background and also having a coaching business for as long as you have. So you've done them both, which is awesome. How do you build the right relationships? Let's start there at the beginning of the sentence. So building the right relationships, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think there's probably a lot of different ways that you can take that. There's no one right way. But what I would say is, like, I have found over the course of my career, the deeper I can build relationships, the stronger they are, and the better they will not only serve me, but they will also serve the people that I come in contact with. And so when I think about that, if I just go to corporate America as an example, you can go in. I mean, usually it's not part of your job description is to network within your own organization. However, the more you network within your own organization, you tend to find the ability to get things done easier. You find the ability to navigate it easier, to your work to be celebrated more, perhaps. And then lastly, you actually also cultivate friendships that blossom out of work. And if you think about all of us who've worked, in maybe different places, friendships have blossomed, or even people who get married, they meet each other at work, their partners, etc. And so I find that when you are willing to take the time and invest and get to know the people next to you and to the side of you and around you, you never know where that commonality will be. But when you are able to find it and establish it, a relationship starts to build. And then based on that, maybe it's just personal in the beginning, but ultimately then it's amazing how you'll be able to link or connect the dots to then drive work or get work done, whether it's through just day-to-day work, whether it's when you have a problem later in a set environment, you need someone, you're like, hey, I have a friend over there, I'm going to call that person in that department. Or if it's in your own business that a small business or a larger business, someone, and it's amazing how we're only like a couple degrees of connection, and we're able to get work done. So I find that the deeper the relationship goes, the more you can get work done through other people. And it usually starts with just making the effort of getting to know people personally.
Yeah, I love that angle on it. It starts with the person, right? It's not, of course, everybody has a different business or whatever. There's a reason for you getting together, but it's understanding that person. I think that's super important. I know, Sean, you mentioned earlier, your key business. So you obviously you work for a Chicago title, but you're more in the relationship game than you are in selling title services. Certainly that's what you're ultimately selling, but you do that through building relationships. Question for the group. When it comes to those relationships, right? We talk about this on the show quite a bit. There's transactional type relationships and there's more strategic partnerships, right? And, selling insurance, Eric, is certainly transactional. Selling title services, Sean, is transactional. But how do you guys view building a relationship in that strategic manner versus transactional? And how do you determine that? Can you determine that fairly quickly when you meet someone?
To answer that, the answer is yes. But so there are two different types of people that do what I do. There are the people that completely love being transactional because they're a burn and turn type, and you can be very successful doing that. However, what I have found, because I'm always about the working smarter, not harder way of doing things, and I really like people. There are people that do what I do that don't like people as much as I do. So understanding that is particular because I've been coached by a burn and turn type person that's been very successful, and then I've been coached by a relationship driver, and both of them again do well, but I gravitate to the relationship. I was that kid in school that always got in trouble for talking to everybody all the time. I had my desk moved, I got my schedule rearranged so many times. I'm just a connector, and so I also need to know when I need to be very self-aware of myself, but I also need to understand the person that I'm having a connection with, whether it's like, I just need to know what you can do for me, and we just need to move on past that. I don't need to tell you anything personal about myself, but I know you're good at what you do, so how can you help me here? And then there are those people that do want to get a little deeper with you and understand. I connect better with those on the long run, but it's really just asking questions. And if they're the one word answer type person, or they're not giving you a whole lot of feedback, or they're not asking you questions back, that's how you kind of determine whether they're going to be more transactional or relational, depending on what you're going.
I think to bolt onto that, sometimes the transaction gets a bad rap. Like we have to have good transactions in our business. If somebody buys something from Jen, Sean, or me, like, you got to be good at it. You need to button up the process. It needs to be a good experience. But I think the transactional piece is kind of like networking 101, where you are just looking for referral partners, people to feed you. And again, you have to have that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is the people that miss the strategic part just stop at looking for people to feed them. And I think the strategic part requires more of an investment. Because like Jen said, you don't really know how somebody's going to help you down the road. Like, you don't really even know the first time you meet someone at a company. It might take 2 or 3 lunches to realize that in a certain area, they are the fixer. They are the guru that gets stuff done. Like, you're never going to walk in their office and go, are you the fixer? They're not going to tell you that. Like, you're going to have to find that out organically. So in business, it's, you never know who you're going to meet. Maybe they aren't, what a BNI might tell you is your number one referral partner. So what? Are they a great person? Do they seem like they have good relationships? Do you like them? Because 80% of the people they know will probably like you if you like. I mean, it's just thinking like a couple levels up and investing in that and not expecting a payday right away. And I think that's hard for business owners or people that leave the corporate community and start a business, because you're like, I need a payday right away, because you're out over your business, right? And everybody empathizes with that.
I agree with that, Eric. And I want to move to a different part of this question, because I want to hear Jen's angle on it. The leveraging strategic networking piece, right? So leveraging strategic networking to unlock untapped opportunities. So strategic networking versus, going it solo, that sort of thing. But how do you view strategic networking when it comes to, so you're coming from an HR angle, and I have a story that I'll share, which I want to hear your opinion first, but I have a story that I want to share because it led me down a different career path. But how do you see strategic networking from an HR perspective as well as a small business owner community?
Sure. Well, I go back again to like the strategic networking, and I think I heard this from Sean as well as Eric. It's relationship based. So it's not the transactional. Everybody can go through and do something transactional. So when you think about like a networking event, and it's, a happy hour or a luncheon, and it's an hour long, you go, you shake hands, you say hi, you pass out business cards, and you walk away. I would actually say those are not very fruitful in my humble opinion, or through experience in attending multiple
virtual high five
over the course of my career. So yeah, you like look at faces and you exchange business cards and then you walk on. I can't recall a time where I actually hired anyone that came out of that thing, did business with any of those individuals, or perhaps even saw them again. Now, if I spent my time at that luncheon or at that happy hour getting to know and sitting next to one person and just going deeper into that one conversation, and you end up connecting with them on LinkedIn, or you exchange numbers, and then you actually email them and say, let's get together for coffee, in a couple of weeks. That's actually the cultivation of where like the relationship starts to go deeper. And so what may come out of that thing, I don't know. It can vary in size and scope. If you have enough of those, you will have some that yield great outcomes. And in others, you may find out you guys are neighbors and your kids are on the same, sports team or whatever it may be, but you're finding that commonality. The thing that I would just say that is so important in it is that when you go and you network and you just want something, which is self-serving in your business, people pick up on it and it's not authentic. And that is a problem. And I certainly know when I feel like I'm being used because somebody wants something from me versus when someone is curious about me and wants to get to know me. And that, I think, is a very defined line between more tactical and like, I'm in sales, I need business, you can give it to me, versus I'd love to get to know you. What do you do? What are your interests? Oh, that's interesting. We have some commonality, and that may lead into something bigger. But people want to do business with people that they like and enjoy, that they feel aligned to, versus that transactional. And the reality is all three of us, we do some element of our job is transactional. So the more at bats and transactions you do, the more income you will earn. So that's definitely a connection. But how people feel when they work with you is the thing that drives the repeat business.
Yeah, I love that. And you're absolutely right that you can see pretty clearly and pretty quickly those who are just there to get a sale or cut straight to the chase. the strategic networking to unlock untapped opportunities. I just want to share a quick anecdote because my career, like I'd mentioned before, I was in corporate America. I worked for a big company, PepsiCo, right? So I started in the finance world, and I at some point I moved over into supply chain and innovation. And the reason I did that is it was because of that strategic networking. So it's a different sort of networking, right? So you being in HR, this is why I wanted to bring this up. You can kind of set your own career path depending on what company you work with or for, based on what your interests are, right? So I got to the point where I wasn't unhappy doing what I was doing in the finance department, but I realized that there were other places where I could learn and grow as just a well-rounded professional, right? So I reached out to some supply chain partners and just sat down and had that conversation that you're talking about, gents. Who are you? What do you do from a business perspective? Is this the type of group that I want to get into? Well, the conversations went well. I met a couple other people, and a job opened up, and the first thing they did was reach out to me. They didn't put it on a job board. They said, hey, you have the skill set that we're looking for. We'd like you to come work for us in this group, which is completely different, which that role never would have been open to me. They would have never known me unless I showed the networking aspect and reached out of whatever comfort zone may be there or whatever predetermined who you need to talk to structure was there. And I bring that up because it leads to that next part of it, the untapped opportunities. After I took that role, I had multiple other different roles that eventually led me to relocate the family down here, right? So your life is very different based on what those untapped opportunities might look like. So question for the group. Have there been any opportunity that has come about completely indirectly through the strategic networking aspect, like a personal anecdote that you may have similarly in either career or even personal?
Well, I would take a stab at that. And when I think about untapped, to maybe help those listening, because the more I keep thinking about the topic, because I don't want to say every time, but most of the time, untapped means you probably can't see it at the moment you start. The problem with what Jen said, when you walk into the networking thing and you're handing out cards, you're looking for the obvious people that can feed you. And yes, that's fine. And if you can build a relationship, great. But untapped opportunity, it's not like it's oil in the ground and you know where the oil is and you just haven't literally tapped it. I met Jen through another Frisco resident back in 2014 when I was thinking about some career things. I did not call her for Capital One, Ericsson. I called her for coaching. I didn't know her and she didn't know me. And a couple cups of coffee. Here's my challenge. We did some work together. And then I actually stayed with the same company. Unlike, I didn't, like in your example, I didn't leave PepsiCo. And then 2 years later, I'm head of training and recruiting, and I didn't want to be the head of recruiting. So I called Jen. I said, why don't you come by the office? And so we started working on things, and we had breakfast with Roger Gardner. I mean, Jen remembers, we were doing things. I'm like, how am I doing this with her? Like, I didn't even know her 3 years ago. Like, it was not on the radar. And now she has a business, My Front Porch. And it's funny, you just said supply chain management, and I saw her face light up. You two are going to talk later on, because nowhere in the history of my relationship with her that I knew Brian Poduska and Jen Carmichael were going to have a need to talk about supply chain logistics. But Jen's like nodding, going, yeah, send me his email later. And I think that's the untapped. And it takes an investment, a blind faith investment, to be strategic. It's not like these fancy moves on the chessboard that I can teach you, because that's transactional. Those are gimmicks, those, sales techniques, if you will. It's just a blind faith to kind of trust your fellow man or woman and just hope something good comes out from it. And if they're not a good person, you'll move on. So I just think it's that simple in some ways.
Love it. Well, I agree. Okay, guys, I'm looking at the time here, and we are up against it. What we're going to do is wrap this segment. So go ahead and play the sounder. I'm going to ask you guys a question of what's the difference.
And now it's time for What's the Difference?
Okay, so what we've done is move the What's the Difference segment to kind of wrap up our business segment on the show. And I love the list of questions, one of which we've already nailed. So I'm going to just mention this because we've already answered it, because both Sean and Jen have done a good job of answering this one. But what's the difference between transactional networking and relationship-driven networking? That was going to be one of the questions I asked, but you guys already hit that one out of the park. So I want to touch on one. Let's see. And I already talked on that one. So let's do this, because we do talk about ecosystem building, right? So there's transactional, and then there's an enhanced way of going about networking. So the question to the group, and there is no wrong answer, but we're going to go around the horn and answer it, and then I'll read the kind of the Webster's dictionary version of this answer. But the question to the group is, what's the difference between networking and ecosystem building? And I'm kind of glad I asked this question, given the fact that we have a couple newer co-hosts who haven't necessarily heard the term ecosystem building. So I'm curious to hear your guys' answers. So as we like to do on the show, we'll let Jen answer first, because ladies first. Jen, what's the difference between networking and ecosystem building?
Well, I'm waiting to hear what Webster's dictionary, how they define it. But what I will say is, going out on a limb, or the way that I think about it, is I'll go back to like the word networking for me tends to feel like, or has maybe a reputation of like more transactional. And when I think of ecosystem, I think a little bit of, probably not a good term, but like a spider web, like interconnected. And when I think of that interconnection, it's like, you don't know, it's all tied together in various different ways that creates something that has an ability to actually work and stay together. And so that's probably the way that I think about it.
Good answer.
Pass it on to the next to see what they say too. Because
I like that spider web analogy. That's a really good one. That was good. Good off the top of the head thinking. I love it. All right, Sean, what's your answer to the question? What's the difference between networking and ecosystem building?
So for me, networking is almost a place you go or something you do, where an ecosystem is somewhere you live, essentially. So, and when I think of an ecosystem, I'm thinking of things that I want, that I like, that I want close, that I trust, that I need to use more than once. So building an ecosystem around you, it would be people that you know, like, and trust, that can support you and you can support them, your family, your friends, your preferred business partners versus just a vendor, if you think of it that way. That's kind of how I think of networking versus ecosystem.
Love it. Good stuff. Eric, what about you?
Well, so if an ecosystem is a thriving, living place with Jen's spiders and other plants and animals in it, I think, kind of to Sean's point, networking is taking, and I don't want to totally brand that poorly, but give. And what is fun is to connect people you meet with other business owners that you know. And I think that's kind of where Jen was going. I want to, when I'm talking to someone, like, hey, you need to talk to Sean, or you need to talk to Jen. And it's funny, the more you are like the mayor of your town giving out other people's business cards, like, that blows people away. It's like, why would you refer Jen to me? Like, I don't, oh, wow. I mean, you must really think she's great. Yes, give her a call. And that is like a commercial. I think the goal of this building an ecosystem is where people are actively out being your marketing and sales team, and you're being theirs. And then that is just, I don't know, you can get much higher level than that in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yep. 100% agree. All right. So Webster's dictionary answer to what's the difference between networking and ecosystem building. So networking is about meeting people, while ecosystem building is about creating a structured network, i.e. spiderweb, where multiple parties collaborate for mutual growth. You guys all hit that one completely on the head. Networking focuses on who you meet, while an ecosystem focuses on what those connections create together. So, I mean, I'm not going to call you guys Webster's, but that's pretty much the dictionary answers that you guys gave, even deeper. So, well done. I think Yep, Lauren chiming in. I saw earlier she said she was watching from an airplane. So Lauren is one of our co-hosts here on the Frisco show, also a Frisco resident, and obviously very dedicated, watching on her plane on her way to New Orleans right now.
Worldwide audience.
So yeah, very impressive. Well, hey guys, great answers on the What's the Difference segment. Great insight on the business topic. Love it. I wish we had more time to go a little bit deeper on that. We did go deep, but we could talk forever on it. With that, though, we're going to take our commercial break here, and we're going to learn more about Jen and deep dive into her a little bit here on the back end. So with that, Lennon, take us to commercial, and we'll be right back.
At the Community Difference Business Development Alliance, powered by the Difference Media, LLC, our mission is to empower small business owners by transcending acceptable behaviors and outcomes into exceptional realms. We foster a culture of self-awareness, accountability, and proactive engagement, guiding individuals to recognize and overcome indifference towards transformative actions, habits, behaviors, and processes driving meaningful change. Through strategic networking, impactful content creation, and innovative top-of-mind strategies, we cultivate brand relevance and differentiation, enabling our partners and the Difference community to stand out in crowded markets. With a focus on building authentic connections, amplifying brand presence, and driving sustainable growth, we equip entrepreneurs with the tools and mindset to navigate the complexities of entrepreneurship with confidence, innovation, and resilience. Together, we aim to be the catalyst for difference makers, propelling them towards their highest potential and leaving a lasting impact on their businesses and communities. That's where our community podcasts come in. These podcasts lie directly at the intersection of innovative business development and community involvement, helping to bridge the gap between small business obscurity often seen in our communities. The community-based podcasts called the Community Difference Series are an integral part of integrating all facets of modern business development into a package of great content, positive impact branding, and top-of-mind presence, thus fulfilling the greater mission we set forth. When we set out to be difference makers, we can learn to make a difference and find the success and impact innately desired by all business owners and entrepreneurs. We are difference makers.
And now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. And this is a segment of the show where we put the spotlight on our guests. So, Ms. Carmichael, we're going to learn a little bit more about you and dive into, what drives you, what's your why. So we'll get into that in a little bit. First and foremost, you said you've been in Frisco for 17 years. Where'd you come from and what drew you to Frisco?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Colorado, so this cold weather is actually the norm for me.
Yep, I feel it.
But growing up there, I always thought it was a little cold. So I said, while it is beautiful and Texans love to vacation in Colorado, Coloradans don't necessarily love the heat of Texas, but I certainly do. So I'm like the birds. I flew south when I had the opportunity. So so I've been here. I have actually been here 22, 23 years. So I came shortly after college. I got my first job in Kansas City and then worked there. And they asked me to relocate to Dallas and open an office for them. And so that's where I started to explore a little bit more about Dallas and said, geez, that sounds like a great place. At the time I was in my early 20s and said, yeah, sure. Single. I'm like, sure, I'll go move down there. That sounds fun. And I'll do that for a while. And then kind of a little bit like, who knows where the wind will blow me next.
For a while, huh?
Yeah. And then found it so great. I made the decision to stay and never look back.
Awesome. Well, I heard you say you have kids. How many kids do you have?
I actually don't have any kids. So it's my husband and myself. And then we have 2 fur babies, I guess you could constitute as kids, 2 dogs.
That'll do the trick for sure. Well, that's cool. What do you like to do for your free time in Frisco?
Yeah. So we love the outdoors, and so spend a lot of time. Probably one of my favorite pastimes, if you will, is we go to the dog park, or I go to the dog park all the time. Frisco Rough Range. Yep, Frisco, and love it out there. So it's great. And I went actually a little fun fact. I was there on opening day, I think 16 or 17 years ago when they opened on opening day, and have been going ever since. So it's been great. Also spend time, going to the Star, dining, restaurants, shopping in the area, other parks, sometimes play golf in the area, which is great. And just anything outdoors.
Have you been up to PGA Frisco?
Of course. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Pretty awesome place, isn't it? Have you played the courses?
I haven't played the course there. What I would say is yet. So in due time.
Just know that those greens are killer. They're both great courses, and those greens will kill you.
That's good.
Awesome. So you said fun fact. One of the questions. So we had the 100th episode of the Community Difference Wiley earlier, which I jumped in on. We had a set list of questions, or like a rotating list of questions that we used to ask our guests just for fun. So I'm going to ask you one of those, because we had probably the star of this question. So no comparison here, but karaoke gun to your head. You have as much as you love it or hate it doing karaoke, what's your go-to song for karaoke?
Oh gosh, Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh, little Cyndi Lauper. All right.
Brian, I told her this was a serious business show, and now you're doing this. I mean, come on.
Hey, we got to learn Jen's her nightlife action here. So awesome. So Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I think that was Lendon's as well.
Yes.
All right. Since I asked you, I have to ask the gentleman. What's your go-to karaoke song, Sean?
Shameless by Garth Brooks, actually.
Okay. All right. I like it.
Sound of Silence, because I don't think I do karaoke. How's that sound? That's actually a Paul Simon song, I think. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be up on the karaoke stage. That's just me. I'll do a podcast, but I won't do that.
That's why I prefaced it with karaoke gun to your head. I mean, you can't say no.
Shoot me, I'm dead. I don't know what else to tell you.
Awesome. Well, back to business, Jen. So obviously career in corporate America, started a coaching business. Number one, what inspired you to do that? And then number two, what inspired you to start your upcoming My Front Porch business?
Yeah, sure. So I started out my career falling into it, essentially. And when I think about like just at a high level networking, I decided, I graduated college. I actually took some time off and traveled down in South America. And then I came back and said, I need to get a job. So I did mine a little bit more unconventional. But when I had reached out to my friends and said, hey, I'm looking for a job if anyone knows, the person who ended up finding me the job, I did not know, but it was a friend of a friend who passed my resume along. And that's ultimately how I got the job. So again, it just goes to this. You have no idea sometimes how things happen, but through the networking or relationships, it's more relationship, I ended up getting my first job. And my first job was actually in recruiting. So what I can share is that no one goes to college to become a recruiter. Every recruiter falls into it. And so one way or another. So I fell into this career of recruiting. And I actually really enjoyed it. I got paid to talk to people. I got paid to help people. And I found it could actually be a relatively lucrative career. And so that's kind of ultimately where I landed. And then from that, I was able to successfully grow my career in corporate America. So started out in the recruiting agency side of the house, which is a little bit like, you kind of like have to hunt and kill to be able to make your money. And that was how I learned how to do it. And then I moved into corporate, which was actually a more delightful environment. I felt like everybody wants to come and work for your corporation and they apply to the jobs. And so I got to see it at a really big like volume and scale. And I did that for years, grew, and then started my career, and then began the opportunity to like actually lead the talent acquisition or recruiting function for companies or for large multinational companies in the region. And so from that, I really enjoyed it. I would also say that like I traveled extensively. So I've traveled up to 90% of the time in certain jobs in my career. So I was a road warrior.
Yeah.
I had global experience. And so because of it, I took calls at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 p.m., and everything in between. So I felt like I worked 24/7 at some point. And while I would sleep, people worked. And so when you wake up, like you're already, kind of behind again in your email box and meetings nonstop. So I thought to myself, what can I do that actually changes the landscape of this? And I actually have a little bit more control of my life versus the job controlling me. And so I thought, I would love if I had a perfect job, what would it be or what would it look like? And I loved the actual work that I did. I just didn't love what came with it of like the hours and the travel and that. And so I made this decision to start a career coaching business. And I realized I have all the expertise of like, I know how it works. I know how people get jobs. I know how recruiters determine who they're going to call back or reach out to or who they aren't going to. I understand all the technology that drives all of this. And I understand what the candidate experience is like where they apply to jobs and find it as a black hole and are super frustrated and it has a personal effect on them. And so I just felt like there's a way that I could bring this kind of knowledge and expertise and share my wisdom with others in a really meaningful and thoughtful way, but also be able to control the tempo of it. And so ultimately it was, I would say like in some ways there was like a risk, but in other ways there wasn't really that much risk because ultimately it was taking a knowledge base that I already had and going out on my own. And so from that, I was able to help, new grads coming out of college and thinking about how am I going to find a job? Their parents breathing down their neck saying, you've spent all this time in college. Now you need to go get a job and, be on your fly the nest. To mid-level career professionals, to executives who are feeling really stuck and being able to help and guide them through it. And so I found it to be very meaningful and it was really nice. And then from it, I also got consulting opportunities. So I'd actually go into corporations and evaluate their recruiting or the talent acquisition shop or organization and help make recommendations on how they could refine it, make it more efficient, effective, whether it was tools and technology, processes, mitigating risks, et cetera. And so I also really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I was able to do kind of the two and marry it. I would say, the risk is that you're going to start on your own. And when you have a corporate job, I mean, you get paid every 2 weeks and you've got benefits and like, you just kind of know the drill. When you go out, you've got to, go hunt and find your own business and make connections and knock on doors and shake hands and get to know a lot of people. But it was an enjoyable experience for me as well. So I enjoyed it and I continued to keep the business and I'm able to still help and support people today. This new opportunity that I decided to embark on is a whole different ballgame. And so what excites me about that is it's totally new. It's different. I haven't done anything like it before. But what I would say is I have a high degree of confidence in my ability to be able to make this successful and scale it. And that is driven by my previous experience, not only in corporate America, but with like the ability to like build strategic problem solving and be able to influence and be able to connect with people and be able to drive outcomes, et cetera. And so I feel comfortable with that. But then also my experience of building a business from scratch before and knowing kind of the hurdles that you go through, the bumps, the bruises, the areas of excitement and peaks, and knowing how to do that at scale as well. And so I feel really ripe for the opportunity to start something new. I think the difference is when I started my coaching business, it's a one-off business. You're an individual kind of sole person working on this business. And with this new business I'm creating, it is a former colleague of mine. The two of us used to work together. We worked together for years and had like great synergy, aligned on our values, connection, the speed and tempo we like to get work done. And we really complement each other. We have different skills and backgrounds. So I'm really excited to start a business that we know, not very much about, and do it with someone. And, it's fun. Like we met this morning, we have weekly standing meetings. We're on Zoom calls, and we start laughing and joking about some of the stuff we're learning that's new, but it's energizing and exciting.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, we talked about strategic partnerships. Obviously, you have one with your business partner going forward. And I love that fun aspect, right? So you've taken I see a stream here and a commonality through your different career moves in that, you took your corporate job, which you had fun with, but became a beatdown with the travel and everything else. You're helping people on a more individual level as a next step, and now you're graduating to, again, helping people and providing a service, but it sounds like more of a fun venture. So really quickly, in about 30 seconds, tell everybody what the new My Front Porch business is.
Sure. So we are a pumpkin delivery service, really targeting the fall season to deliver pumpkins to doorsteps across the Collin County or DFW area and design their front porch for the fall season. So when you think about this, our customer base is most likely women who want to make their front doors look gorgeous during the fall season. So kicking off fall and into, when I think of like Halloween and Thanksgiving and really creating a wow experience for their front porch.
That's pretty awesome. Now, can you build new front porches?
Maybe not. But what I could do is probably find someone in my network who could help assist with that and give them the business.
There you go. It goes back to relationship building. That's exactly right. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear how that works out. And, obviously we're here to help you here at the Community Difference, spread the word and help those connections, build those connections as however you need them. We're here to help with that effort. So best of luck to you with the new venture. We do have to wrap up the show. Appreciate you spending your time with us. Gentlemen, thank you for being co-hosts today. Jen, one final question for you before we wrap. What is your key takeaway from being on the show today?
Well, first of all, I just met a bunch of fabulous people that are not only part of the show today, but also part of the sponsors that you have partnerships with. And when I was running through the list of them, I just thought, I could use, I could have my windows cleaned here with Lily. And when I thought about what it was, Mina, who does coaching and preparation for colleges. And we have a niece getting ready to go to college. She's a junior this year. So, you think about that. Sean, sorry, I'm not closing on a house anytime soon, but I'm happy to share that with you in the event that we are. And, you find the connections through people, and it just really goes to show that Frisco is a great city and a great community where, kind of sharing is caring, and that networking is really a critical part for us to flourish as businesses together.
Love it. Well, that's what we do here on the Community Difference. So again, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for co-hosting and steering this ship with me. With that, we will wrap the show. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, 2:30, with new co-hosts, new guests, same business topic for another week. Until then, hopefully we warm up, enjoy a fun, safe weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye all.
Thank you for watching today's show.
The Community Difference Frisco was made possible by Brian Poduska with Real Property Management Focus, Bethany Ralwin with the Beer Ralwin Realty Group, Liliana Aranda with Window Hero, Jax Kreider with PBJ Mortgage, Debbie Watson with Abracadoodle, Eric Buchanan with Goosehead Insurance, Meena Singh, college counselor and prep coach, Sean Neidig with Chicago Title, and by Lauren Gill with My Live Love Travel. The Community Difference Frisco. Together, we can make the difference.